Hello, my name is Jason Jacobs, and today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution. Any discussion of the Second Amendment in today's society is laden with two centuries of history and information. Statistics, partial truths, and personal opinion are all used as fact when dealing with such a touchy subject. How does a society balance the need to protect itself from those who would seek to do harm, whether it's a tyrannical government or its fellow citizens, and create a society where people feel secure? I don't actually know the answer to that question. This is the question that remains at the center of the armed or not armed debate. In order to establish how to balance the answer to that question, we have to look at the statements made by those who were instrumental in writing the Bill of Rights and that the Second Amendment belongs to. Richard Henry Lee wrote in a letter from 1788 that he believed that a properly formed militia was the people as a whole, and he went on to say in this letter that quote, "It is essential that the whole body of the people always possess arms and be taught alike, especially when young, how to use them," end quote. This shows that one of our founding fathers believed in a republican concept that was the ability to bear arms, and that it rested in we the people of the United States and was essential to the preservation of liberty. Another one of our founding fathers, Thomas Jefferson, wrote a letter to Justice William Johnson in 1823 and described a method for evaluating the intent of the Constitution and the words that were in it. In this letter, Jefferson asks that the evaluator not try to squeeze meaning out of the text, but to, quote, "conform to the probable one in which it was passed," end quote. When combining the statements of Richard Henry Lee and Thomas Jefferson, the context of the people from the Second Amendment can become clearer. It is the people who adopted the Constitution, and it is the people that have the right to peaceable assembly, and it is the people who have a right to be secure. Through a combination of cases, the modern Supreme Court has held this idea of the people as singular as it applies to the Second Amendment as well. In 2008, in the case District of Columbia versus Heller, the Supreme Court put forth a majority decision that identified the amendment as protecting the individual right to possess a firearm unconnected with service in a militia. Further, in 2010, in a case heard before the Supreme Court against the city of Chicago, the majority opinion was held that reflected the inclusion of Second Amendment rights as one of the protective clauses of the 14th Amendment, in that bearing arms for the purpose of self-defense is a right. With this information, combined with the thoughts of our forefathers, Richard Henry Lee and Thomas Jefferson, we, as citizens that make up the people, are provided a clear understanding of what the Second Amendment intended. It is a fundamental and individual right of each citizen of the United States to be able to keep and bear arms. My personal opinion does agree with the results of this research, but it's critical to note that as historians, we have an obligation to perform research of sources that allows for objectivity in our interpretation of history and in its application to our contemporary society and the future.